So, one day I found myself dicking around on TV tropes, which is what I normally do when I need video ideas, and after basking in all the Legend of Korra MILFs, I came across Eska's page. And I'm like, huh. As much of a scene stealer and natural treasure Aubrey Plaza is, there was always something about Eska that I just couldn't really get behind. So I went back and rewatched clips of book 2, and I was like, oh, that's right, I hated the Eska and Bolin ship. I know that's kind of irrelevant now since Bolin and Opal is endgame, but still. They just always really rubbed me the wrong way, dude. And the reason for that is very simple. Eska is an abuser. I'm not even being hyperbolic, man. Eska is like a predator, like legit. A phenomenal character, mind you, but a shitty person nonetheless. And for those of you that haven't seen Korra, but for some reason clicked on this video, I'm gonna break down this entire relationship for you. So, there's this dude named Bolin, an earthbender who thinks being in a relationship will help him deal with his crippling inferiority complex. So he chats up Korra's cousin Eska, and is all, hi, I'm Bolin. And Eska's like, you're my slave now. That's not even a joke, man. Let me replay this shit.
Hey, I'm Bolin. I'm a friend of Korra's. You're Eska, right? Wow, I am loving these robes.
You amuse me. I will make you mine.
You mean like a boyfriend or like a slave?
Yes. Win me prizes.
So because this is the foundation of a perfectly healthy relationship, we get a lot of cute moments that highlight their astounding chemistry. Like when Eska prohibits Bolin from supporting a female friend. Or when she forces Bolin to pull her and her brother across town in a carriage. Isn't that sweet? And hey, let's not forget when she made Bolin bow before her, put a collar on him, and coerced him into a forced marriage. Aren't they just so adorable? Now, if Bolin was actually into this shit and communicated as such, then it wouldn't be abuse. It would just be hot. But Bolin was not into it. My man did not consent to any pseudo-BDSM dynamic, and he was clearly suffering for it. Thankfully, Bolin has enough self-preservation to go to his very wonderful, understanding friends and confide in the very legitimate problems of this unhealthy relationship. And said wonderful friends told him,
Hey, if you're that unhappy, just break up with her.
Why didn't you warn me your cousin had the power to reach into my heart and crush my soul with her bare hands?
'Cause I thought it was pretty obvious.
So basically they were all like, if you're being victimized, then why don't you just leave? And hello, terrible, terrible subtext. Like, Korra, Mako, my dudes. I know you got a lot on your plate right now trying to prevent an international catastrophe, but can you really not give 2 seconds to tell Bolin that he shouldn't force a toxic relationship with someone he's romantically incompatible with? Oh, wait, I just remembered who I was talking to. My bad. Now, granted, the show knows this relationship is all kinds of messed up, and it would have been a great exercise in highlighting how a romance built on a non-consensual power imbalance leads to an unhealthy relationship that should not be validated in any way. But, you know, girls hurting guys is funny, so fuck that. And that right there is the point I'm trying to make here, people. 'Cause let's face it, the only instance where cartoons, and pretty much any media, can get away with this nonsense is when it's a girl abusing a guy. Y'all know what I'm talking about. When a guy hurts a girl, everyone's like, oh man, he's an asshole. But when a girl slaps a guy or belittles him, then it's like, she's just standing up for herself, or he had it coming, or some bullshit like that. And just to state the obvious, yes, it's a double standard, and yes, I hate it. Because the reasoning behind it always comes down to, oh, she's a girl, so she could never really hurt a guy. Or, wow, he can't stand up to his wife? How emasculating. Like, it's just not cute, man. I know on the surface it looks like some gender equality rhetoric about balancing the power dynamic between men and women, but like, isn't it actually reinforcing sexist gender roles by saying guys who are supposedly always tougher can never be abused by girls who are supposedly always weaker? I'm just saying. A lot of shows are guilty of this shit, and unfortunately, animation is no exception. And probably the most egregious example of this would have to be the Canker sisters from Ed, Edd and Eddy. You know, those 3 white trash girls that would, to put it mildly, sexually assault the Eds? Remember how they would do things like kiss them against their will, kidnap them, tie them to trees, and pretty much gangbang them, and it was always played for laughs? Or how about The Simpsons, where a grown-ass man can strangle a 10-year-old boy for comedic effect? And bro, don't even get me started on tsunderes. Now, imagine if we Rule 63'd this shit, and it was 3 redneck dudes forcing kisses on 3 girls. Or if Homer decided to just start strangling Lisa, wouldn't that be hilarious? Yeah. But you know what? I'm old, and I'm sure some of y'all are probably gonna say, yeah, but those shows came out a decade and a half ago. Surely we moved far along as a society where modern cartoons don't do that anymore, right? And I'm like, not exactly. Like, yeah, I don't see much blatant abuse of guys anymore, but I still see some animated ladies get a pass for some, questionable behavior. I mean, there was that one Loud House episode where the sisters were all trying to bone that English dude. And then there's The Miraculous Ladybug. Now, I haven't seen that show, so grain of salt and all that. But from what I hear, the main girl, Marinette, has a reputation of doing some pretty creepy shit to that Adrian guy. But apparently, it's less creepy when a girl does it? I don't know, man, it's pretty whack. But to consolidate everything I just said, I could almost forgive everything about Eska and Bolin if the show actually recognized this. But then we had to get this scene right here. You know, the part where Bolin is crying about how badly he fucked up their relationship, and he and Eska realizing how they actually care about one another, and basically treating the ship like a legitimate romance story? This is exactly why the Eska and Bolin side plot makes my skin crawl, man. Like, I'm pretty sure at the end of book 2, the stance they were going for was, yeah, we know these two don't work together as a couple. They had irreconcilable differences, and their personalities just didn't mesh well together. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure the reason they didn't work is because Eska is an emotionally abusive little bitch who preyed on Bolin's insecurities and was never held accountable for her actions. Nah, I'm pretty sure it's the first one. There's a fine line between acknowledging a problem in-universe and perpetuating it, and the whole Eska-Bolin train wreck just steered too far into the latter for me. At the end of the day, kids are growing up watching this stuff, man. And as much as I'd hate to admit it, the stuff we accept in animation does often reflect the stuff we accept in reality. And if there's one thing I've learned from watching dozens of inconsequential cartoon romances growing up, it's that healthy, consensual relationships is my one true kink. Yo, I gotta say, I never thought I would ever go back to Legend of Korra on this channel. But you know what they say, cartoons that are controversial are a hell of a lot easier to talk about than cartoons that are critically acclaimed. Or maybe I'm just the only one who says that. But anyway, thanks so much guys for watching this video. If you guys like my content, please consider supporting me on my Patreon. I love making these videos for you guys, but it is a lot of hard work, and every bit of support counts to help keep this channel going. And as always, you can show your support by leaving a like, a comment, and hitting that subscribe button. Until then, stay tuned!